Great. Look, thank you for joining me today to listen to an overview and highlights of the Coral Expedition's Tasmania cruise season, consisting of four, really individual expedition itineraries, a 16-night full circumnavigation of the Tassie coastline through to our core 10-night coastal wilds and 10-night coastal trek itineraries, covering the really remote and truly stunning southwestern and eastern parts of the island. And even the option to join us on Boxing Day to follow the famous Sydney Hobart yacht race live on the water, but I must say in much more comfort than the competitors. My name is Will. I'm a member of the Coral Expedition's sales team. Joining me today, I have David Williams, one of our Tasmanian cruise series guest lecturers with Coral, and with his local Tasmanian knowledge and experience, David's the perfect embodiment of a Coral Expedition guest lecturer, and he's going to be providing his commentary on some of the main highlights across the expedition cruise series. So Coral is Australia's pioneering expedition cruise operator, sailing for 40 years now, and our fleet of three really specialised expedition ships and tenders take guests to some of the most beautiful yet undiscovered islands and coastal regions of the world. And our travellers are attracted by our relaxed small ship atmosphere and itineraries that larger ships just simply cannot replicate. And that's at a time, when the cruise industry is moving to larger and less personal ships, we've limited the size of our vessels to maximise that expedition experience. Our cuisine is prepared small batch on board using quality Australian produce and wine, and we operate to high standards of Australian safety with Australian crew wherever we go. And we were the first to offer interpretive programs reflective of the destinations we visit, and to employ expedition leaders, guest lecturers, marine biologists, and scuba instructors. And it's a tradition that continues today. So for those of you who have cruised with Coral Expeditions previously, be that in the Kimberley or beyond in international waters, you're going to be more than aware of the style of expedition product we offer both on board, but also whilst exploring the stunning destinations we visit. As mentioned, we've been in business now for 40 years, and for those 40 years, we've been taking groups of like-minded explorers to remote destinations with expert guidance and that kind of warm, relaxed Australian style of hospitality. For those new to Coral Expeditions, it's worth stating right away that if you're looking for that big ship experience with multiple bars and restaurants, nightclubs, casinos, white jagged waders, then the Coral Expedition product is probably not what you're looking for. Instead, we offer an informal, relaxed onboard experience with no dressing for dinner, no assigned seating, and no formal onboard entertainment outside our schedule of lectures and presentations from our guest lecturer and expedition leader team, and obviously specific to the waters in which you cruise. The whole ethos of the company is to focus on the stunning destinations we visit rather than the ship itself, and that's a very different prospect from some of the big ship cruise lines out there. We offer a minimum of 2 shore excursions daily, and we utilise our trademark and unique explorer tenders to ensure your time is maximised ashore with no waiting or queuing. And our shore excursions are also tailored to all, no matter the levels of fitness. And so we offer our guests anything from a strenuous walk or hike to a site of interest or viewpoint, through to a gentler beach comb or exploration of the area. In suitable locations, we also offer choice of staying aboard our Explorer tenders to cruise through the bays, creeks, rivers, and coastlines for those not inclined to head ashore. So the point being that we offer a range of excursion opportunities to fit all those fitness requirements and hopeful specific areas of interest. And again, all shore excursions are accompanied by our expert expedition team. We do not outsource to third parties, meaning we can guarantee the quality of the ashore expedition experience. So moving on to the ship, for our Tassie season each year, we cruise aboard Coral Discoverer here on the screen. She's our smaller expedition yacht and designed to take you to destinations that are inaccessible to those larger vessels. Her shallow draft and really high manoeuvrability make her highly versatile, and she is the perfect vessel to explore the remote coastlines of Tasmania. She boasts ocean views from all public spaces, all outward facing staterooms and ensuite, that is, and some with private balconies. And we've got those state-of-the-art tools for exploration, including the trademark explorers I'm going to come on to shortly, Zodiacs and kayaks. The Explorer bar and adjacent sun deck lounge has a 360-degree view and a really much loved features. And carrying only 72 passengers, she offers a really intimate experience that larger ships simply cannot replicate. Any coral expedition cruise offers a relaxed and informal onboard environment, and we encourage an open interaction between our guests and crew. Our open bridge policy allows regular interactions with the captain, and there's plenty of in and outdoor areas to relax and enjoy the stunning scenery. Drift by, usually, I must say, with a glass of wine or cheeky gin and tonic. The onboard guest experience is at its core built around two main areas: the delicious culinary and wine experience, particularly down in Tasmania, using a lot of those local ingredients and both wine and single malts. And the schedule of guest lectures and presentations from our onboard experts. The aim being that you can, fully immerse yourselves in the history, flora, fauna, geology, cultures of the places that we visit. So Coral was one of the first cruise operators to employ interpretive guides on our cruises, and it's a tradition that continues today. Each trip includes a mix of our full-time guest lecturers who join the expedition team, and special guest lecturers like David here today, who are chosen for their kind of specific local knowledge and expertise. Any of our cruises, you're going to be led by a dedicated expedition leader, and they'll work closely with the captain to determine the daily program, ensuring that the best use is made of any prevailing weather and tidal conditions. Your expedition leader will join all shore excursions and activities, provide those daily recaps and briefings, and is always on hand to answer any questions that you might have. The expedition team use our ship's shallow draft, quick disembarkation capabilities, our special tender equipment such as the Explorer and Zodiacs, and our open deck spaces on board to take you up close and personal to the remote places that we visit. And so now we move on to what I think is one of the most important facets of any coral expedition cruise, our Explorer tenders. These guys have been purpose designed and built by Coral to provide the perfect conduit between our ships and the really remote regions that we visit, be that here in Tassie, the Kimberley, or on into international waters. And it's something that no other cruise line, domestic or international, can offer. They are really easy to board directly from the back deck with no steps or ladders to contend with before being lowered gently into the water. And they provide comfortable padded seating, a full audio system that assists our guides in sharing their expert commentary. A canopy, crucially, overhead protects you from the sun, more tropical sun in the Kimberley, and potentially more, keeping the rain off you potentially down in Tassie. But it's particularly crucial to when we sail in those kind of tropical waters. And there's a toilet on board for remote convenience. And this might not sound like a big deal, but is crucial to avoid having to constantly head back to the mothership and potentially avoid the need to find a suitable berth or have a quick dip in the ocean. In short, our explorers are crucial in allowing us to deliver that true expedition product. They allow easy access not only to beach and harbour landings, but provide the perfect option for exploring the bays, rivers and coastlines, as well as doubling up as an excellent scuba and snorkel platform where applicable. They allow, as mentioned, to on and off board our entire ship's complement in under 15 minutes, which again means more time spent enjoying the areas that you've paid a considerable amount of money to experience. So now on to the crux of the presentation. I would like to introduce you to David Williams. So David is one of our guest lecturers. He's usually joined by his wife Dale, but she's away on the family duties today. But David and Dale escaped the city more than 25 years ago to the wilds of Tasmania, and now resides on the beautiful and remote Flinders Island, I believe. Visited as part of our Tasmanian circumnavigation, which we'll come on to shortly. with his lovely wife Dale. They were the caretakers of Deal Island for a time, and have an interest in all things Tasmania, from the geology, particularly Dale, his wife, I think, but flora, fauna, food, wine, and landscapes of this stunning part of the world. And having joined Coral on our recent Tasmanian season, they've experienced both our coastal trekking itineraries and coastal wilds, and hopefully are the perfect example of a Coral expedition guest lecturer. So hello, David. Thank you very much for joining me again today.
Pleasure, Will, and thank you. And my apologies that Dale isn't here. She hates missing the opportunity of talking about rocks. So I'll do my best to include some of her thoughts.
Thank you very much, mate. Right, so the first two, we'll just get straight into it, guys. So just the first few slides, Dale, it's really, sorry, David, it's just a bit of a free hit, just to generalise a little bit about Tasmania and why, if people who haven't booked, should certainly be considering one of the trips, and then we'll move into the specifics shortly.
Sure. Well, it says it all there. Pristine Tasmania. There's so much to look forward to on these expeditions. We've got no matter whether you're a history buff, whether you're a fauna and flora buff, you love your hiking, even geology, as my wife does. Tasmania's got it all, and it's got it all in spades, and the Discover is the great way to see it, because we get to these marvelous remote places that not many other people get to. So thank you, Will.
Thank you very much.
Oh, what's happening?
I'll go back one.
Thank you. One of my strong points, or my loves, is the birds. I'm a keen birder, and Tasmania's got 12 endemic species. Hopefully we'll get to see most, or if not all of them, on these cruises. Plus, of course, while we're out at sea, we'll see all the pelagic species, from albatross down to the muttonbirds, the short-tailed shieldwaters. Thank you, Will. And of course, we can't go past the history in Tasmania. In all the cruises, we go to a few places where there are special highlights of the history, from Maria Island through to Port Arthur, which is a huge thing to see. We have a wonderful tour there, the Commandant's tour, led by experts who will tell us not only about the prisoners, but about the colonial effect that all this development had down in the remote part of Tassie. Thank you, Will. And of course, the food and wine in Tassie is well known across the world, and we pull into a few places where you'll be able to enjoy the local produce, other than what you have on the ship as we go along. It's been jokingly called the calorie discoverer, and I think you'll discover why when you're enjoying the meals every day. Thank you.
Thank you for that little intro. So look, guys, we've got 4 itineraries to cover today. The first 2 we are kind of treating the same. As you can see from the map, they're absolutely identical 10-night itineraries, Hobart to Hobart, departing in January and February next year and in 2025. The overwhelming main difference between the 2 is the one on the left, the coastal treks of Tasmania, is the same 10-night itinerary, but is designed around 4, 5, 6 quite chunky day treks, basically, to avoid some of these absolutely spectacular cliffside like walking locations in Tasmania, which we'll come on to in a little bit more detail shortly. Whereas the coastal wild itinerary on the right hand side there, still exactly the same 10-night Hobart to Hobart, you still get to visit all the same places, but instead of the focus being on some significant day hiking opportunities, it's more, I suppose, a traditional Coral expeditions experience, in the sense that we've got anything from beachcombing to shorter walks to points of interest and various highlights. So absolutely the same itineraries, one based around big day treks each day, and one more traditional expedition experience. So let's move on, David, to an overview of one of the first highlights.
Yeah, well, yes, we stop at many interesting spots, obviously, along the way. But when we go up the Huon River, we pull in at Franklin, where the wooden boat shed is. It's run by a lovely couple who get a lot of volunteers to come in and work on building boats, repairing boats. They love working with hue and pine, and the scent of that is throughout the workshop. Because it's a small place, we divide into two groups, and one group gets to go to the woodshed, the boat shed first, and the others go over the road to test out the locally produced cider or have a cup of coffee, and then we reverse that, and everybody gets to enjoy to both places. Thank you. This is the key to the trekking cruise. This is down in Port Davey, and the hill climb that we're showing there is typical of those that we do. They're challenging, but they're not outrageously tough. Some of the tracks are a little worn, and there are rocks to contend with on the way. So if you're a little uncertain, walking poles will help, but they're not essential. And we go in small groups, and there's always a tail end Charlie, which is usually me, so that if anybody has any issues, we're there to help them. But getting to the top is a wonderful feeling, and the views, particularly round the Port Davey and the harbour there, are absolutely stunning, unforgettable. Thank you, Will. Well, I wish Dale were here to talk about these rocks. One of the beauties of the Discover is how close we can get to fascinating rock faces, and this is one of them round in Port Davey. Dale always tells me that reminds her of me with my head in the sand, kneeling with my head in the sand. But yeah, we are blessed with beautiful scenery round in the south of Tassie, and I think you'll find that you won't be able to get as close up in any other way than on the Discoverer. Thank you. This is the fluted cakewalk on Bruny Island. We land at Adventure Bay there, and there's a walk, a long walk up to the top. You can see halfway up there's a lookout. It's a beautiful walk through forests, and with occasional little windows of opportunity to get views across the water. The cliffs there are made of dolerite. My wife tells me that they're really ancient. Tasmania is made up of 40% of dolerite rock. They are hundreds of meters high. I can't get near the edge, but I'm sure most other people won't have my fear of heights. But it's a lovely walk, and as I said again, we do it in small groups so that we can look after everybody. Thank you. Wineglass Bay. As you can see, there's a central isthmus there. We never know which side of the isthmus we're going to land on because of the weather, so we choose the calmest place. There are two walks here. There's a short flat walk across the isthmus to the other side. That can be a little wet, but with the summer that we're expecting, I don't think it will be this year. The main walk is a well-groomed track right up to the high lookout over Wineglass Bay. There are hundreds of steps, but they are all manageable, no poles required, and as long as you've got plenty of water, you'll love every minute of it. It's a spectacular place to be, and take photographs when you get to the top. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, whilst some of us are doing the long hikes up hills, there's the opportunity for others to walk on beaches or get out on the kayaks. they're very safely managed. One of the crew come out on the water with the kayakers, and there are double and single kayaks that people, even beginners, can use safely. Last year, everyone was really excited when they came back to the ship because they'd been surrounded by dolphins jumping in and out of the water. So that looked like fun. And in fact, we could see them from the top of the hill. So that was really good. Thank you. The part of the Three Capes walk, Cape Hoy. It's along the top of those dolerite cliffs that you can see there. It's a very well groomed track. The Tasmanian government spent millions on the Three Capes track, and this one is quite special. It has an awful lot of steps. It has a lot of steep undulations, and it is a I wouldn't say demanding, but it's a really good walk, and you'll love every minute of it. The steps are beautifully made out of granite, even, and the same size each step, so it's not going to cause anybody any problems. But it is. I've done it a few times, and it really is special. So that's something to look forward to. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Over on Maria Island, there's so many things to see and do, but this is just one of them. The painted cliffs, sandstone, and Dale gets very excited about seeing these. Seeing them in person is so much better than this picture. It gives you a good idea, but the colours are absolutely stunning, and especially if the sunlight's on them. And it's an easy walk to get to from where we land. There are plenty of other things to do on Maria Island, which is a national park. So we can take photos of it all, but we can't take anything away. But yeah, it's a beautiful spot. Thank you, Will. The other end of Maria Island, we have several walks. One of which I hope will be able to show you the 40 spotted pardalot, which is an extremely rare Tasmanian species. But we have several walks. One is to the fossil cliffs, and then this one climbs up to the top of the highest part of the island. It's a strenuous climb, but as you can see, exhilarating. And if you're up for a good walk, this is one not to miss. It's absolutely lovely. Thank you, Will.
Thank you very much, David. So yeah, just to provide an overview, both of those itineraries, the coastal trek and the coastal wilds, 10-night Hobart to Hobart. If you're looking to kind of challenge yourself physically a little bit more and do some of these big kind of day hikes, then absolutely our coastal trekking itinerary. Whereas if you just want that little bit of everything, the same itinerary, but not focused around those bigger kind of day hikes, then yeah, the coastal wild itineraries could well be for you. 10 nights Hobart to Hobart. And moving on to the big circumnavigation. So if you guys have got a little bit of extra time or just want to kind of see and do it all, we've got a 16-night Hobart to Hobart again, departing in January and February, year after year. And it comprises the same, bottom right hand and bottom of your screen, that kind of core 10-night itinerary, but it has those additional 6 nights to allow us to complete that circumnavigation, going to some pretty isolated places, including Flinders Island, which is the home of David and Dale. So without further ado, I'll move on to one of the first highlights of the trip, David, and we'll go from there.
Well, this is what we all want to see, Melaleuca, right down in the far southwest of Tasmania. It's extremely difficult to get to. I don't think any other vessel gets as close to Melaleuca as the Discoverer. You can see in the photograph there, the Explorer comes right up the river where there's this most magnificent reflections in the tannin-stained water. And we unload there, and there's a beautiful boardwalk around Melaleuca, and we end up at the bird observatory, hopefully getting a chance to see the orange-bellied parrot, of which there's only 150 left in the world at the moment. So that's always very exciting. I get carried away with it there. You have to drag me out, but no, and there's a lot of Aboriginal history to get involved with as well there. Thank you, Will. Excuse me. Well, Stanley is on the northwest coast of Tasmania. That's the nut you can see in the middle of the screen there. There's a great hike up to the top. It's really demanding, but for those not wanting to push themselves to the limit, there's a chairlift, and it's to get to the top and go for a walk around. It's windswept. It's magnificent. And Stanley, which nestles below it, is a sheltered little fishing village, which has an interesting history, and it's great just to wander around the wooden covered buildings, old pubs and inns. So yeah, that's a really nice spot. I'm sure you'll love there. Thank you. This is a little further round towards Launceston, the Tamar River, which goes up into Lonnie. Again, it's calmer water, so it's perhaps easier for kayaking. But again, the same safety standards apply, and a bit of an adventure to get out and see places that you self-propel yourself to, and work up a bit of a hunger for dinner that night. Thank you. Well, Deal Island, I could talk for hours about this place. Dale and I spent 6 months there, two lots of 3 months as the sole caretakers. We only saw occasional yachts coming through, but we were responsible for maintaining the tracks, the buildings, and keeping the lighthouse cleaned, not on the outside, but inside. It's decommissioned, so it's not that onerous. But there's a steep climb up to the lighthouse. It's the highest lighthouse in Australia, so it is pretty steep. But there's lots of other walks to do. There's some beach combing, and there's a very interesting little museum, as well as the opportunity to meet the current caretakers there, who will give you all the history and any information that's needed. But that's a place not to miss, because you don't get the chance to go to Deal Island very often. National Park, very, very secluded. Thank you, Will. Dear home, sweet home. Flinders Island is the same size as Singapore, but it's only got 1,000 people. It's got no roundabouts, no traffic lights. It's windy, it's wild, and as you can see there, there's nobody else around when you do your walks. When you're in the settlements that we have, you'll be able to meet the locals who love to stop for a chat. But otherwise, you'll probably land at Trouser Point Beach, which is our iconic beach, and there's lots of walks to do. There's a lovely museum to see, or for those tough people, there's the Strzelecki mountain climb, which is about 3.5–4 hours there and back, and it's again magnificent views from the top. But as an advocate for Flinders Island, I'd say don't miss it. It's one of the jewels in the crown. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Well, this is again is why the Discover is so great, because we can come round the bottom of Tasmania and we can see these dolerite cliffs that are just so stunning. We actually around here we see albatross, we see dolphins swimming around. We do last time we did a couple of circumnavigations of Tasman Island, which only probably the Coral Discoverer can do, because it's very narrow channels. But yeah, it's an absolutely special place that it's a privilege to be in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. And look, on to our final, very brief overview, basically, of a little kind of extra that we do for our Tasmanian season. It's our Yachtsman's Cruise, because not surprisingly, this follows the race, basically, or leaves in Boxing Day in Sydney Harbour to follow the famous Sydney to Hobart, obviously departing on Boxing Day every single year. We've been doing it for a long time now. And it's a fantastic way, if you're that way inclined, you know, you like to watch the kind of excitement and drama of the yacht race before ticking off some of the big ticket items like Wineglass Bay and Fortescue Bay and Port Arthur down in Tassie. It's a fantastic way to get yourself down there. Sells out every year, so if you are interested, please get in touch. So absolutely, you have a beautiful kind of champagne breakfast on Boxing Day morning before watching the fleet depart, trying to keep up with some of those super maxis, and again stopping in Bruny Island and a couple of places en route down to Hobart, so you can stretch your legs, do some really beautiful kind of day hikes, or much, you know, shorter, more leisurely strolls as required before getting down into Hobart after 7 absolutely beautiful nights on board and celebrating New Year's. So it's a pretty special place to see the fireworks and celebrate New Year. So if you are interested, that's our yachtsman's cruise, Boxing Day, leaving Sydney Harbour down to Hobart every year. Just to finish up, guys, I've got a really brief video that gives a really beautifully shot overview of the types of kind of scenery, I suppose, in day to day that you get to expect on one of our cruises down in Tassie. Please take this as an opportunity as well to type any questions you may have in the chat function in your on your laptop or computer. I've had a few questions that have come in over the duration and pre-submitted for that point. So drop them into the chat function, and me and David will do our best to answer them after this video. Enjoy. Fantastic. So yeah, just give you a little bit of an overview of some of the beautiful scenery you're going to get down in Tasmania. So just to quickly, and I promise I won't go over the 45-minute window, guys. Just to answer a couple of questions that have come in over the last kind of 20 minutes or so. One I can hand straight to you, David. We've got some. I appreciate where we're going in Tassie. Obviously, hopefully the height of summer. But one of the questions is, can you expand on some of the swimming opportunities that we might get down in Tassie, even though it might be a little bit chillier than normal?
Yes, certainly. We every time we pull into a bay and we go for a walk, we just get off the Explorer. We often have to wait sort of quarter of an hour, half an hour for the Explorer to come and pick us up, and there's always the opportunity to have a dip in the water, and it's always been popular, especially on those warm days that we're so used to down in Tasmania. And so bring your cozies. There's some lovely crystal clear water, totally unspoiled places. Yeah, so the opportunities are there basically every time we go ashore.
Thank you very much. And segueing into that, so whilst we understand that the coastal trekking 10-night itinerary, based around some reasonably strenuous day walks or day hikes, with the opposite, the coastal wild itinerary, How fit do you have to be to enjoy it? I suppose I can answer some of that question, but over to you first.
Well, I don't think you have to be fit at all. I don't mean that in any derogatory sense. There are beach walks. You get help getting on and off the Explorer if you need it. There are beach walks. There are flat, long walks that are easy, but longer than just the beach walks. So yeah, there is no demanding level, we've had people start on the long, tougher walks, and they decided it's not their cup of tea, and they've turned around, and we've helped them back down to the flatter areas. So we just want to see people out there enjoying the Tassie wilderness. So yeah, please feel free to ask for help if you need it.
Yeah, and just following on from that as well, I mentioned earlier on in the presentation that we cater to all fitness requirements and areas of interest as far as we can. So yeah, like anybody from those big day hikes to just having a swim and a lie down on the beach to beach combing to explorations of the area, we'll always offer something. And if we need to, or it's suitable kind of terrain or water, we'll use the Zodiacs, or we'll use the Explorer tenders to cruise through the bays, rivers, and creeks and coastline for those that, like I say, not inclined to head ashore. So we'll provide the ability for all to view these spectacular destinations that we go to.
Can I just add one thing there, Will?
Yeah.
On one occasion, whilst the people were doing the long walks, the Explorer took those that weren't interested on a magnificent coastal cruise right up in the cliffs amongst the kelp and the seals. So yeah, there's the opportunity to do those things as well.
Thank you, mate. And another question for you, being a bit of a local down there, and it's kind of I get asked this every time, particularly when talking about Tassie, and it's obviously going to be the weather. And like, whilst we've been operating in Tasmania for many years now, we obviously choose that peak kind of summer, a few months to run our expeditions down there. But what should people expect in terms of clothing and weather conditions, with the caveat, obviously, that it's quite tough to talk about?
No, not at all. Of course, Tasmanian weather is always perfect, but just in the event it may not be, I suggest that people bring layers of clothes, and I think a waterproof jacket should be brought. Sometimes there can be a bit of spray on the Explorer, so if you've got a waterproof jacket, that'll keep you dry and warm as well. So layers is the simple answer.
Thank you very much. And just a couple that I can answer, actually. So a couple of you have brought up Wi-Fi and the ability to keep connected, particularly in some of the more remote areas. So if you'd asked me up to a year or so ago, I'd say the Wi-Fi, particularly in those remote areas, would have been weak to non-existent. The company spent a small fortune. I think not that Elon Musk needs the money to fit out our entire fleet with the Starlink Wi-Fi capabilities. Our standard or the fare in which you pay includes our standard Wi-Fi, which for any of you who are just looking to stay connected with friends and family, post images of your trip, is going to be more than adequate. For those of you particularly unlucky enough to have to commit to a work call or God forbid a Teams meeting, you'd probably want to upgrade to our premium Wi-Fi speeds and connectivity. That would come in at a small additional cost. But yeah, our standard Wi-Fi inclusions will suit 99% of people who just want that basic element of connectivity, posting videos and photos to your friends and family. Do we have laundry facilities on board? Absolutely, we do. And that segues quite nicely into is the experience genuinely all-inclusive? So yeah, 99% of it absolutely included all our shore excursions, 3 meals a day. It's a very, very premium experience. There are certain added additional costs if you so desire, one of them being the more premium Wi-Fi, laundries, an additional cost as well, but more or less it's a fully inclusive experience whilst you're on board. And I think if that's it with the questions, I think is the last one to come through. So just to summarize, we've been running the full Tasmanian season for many years now. If you're looking for that all-in experience, that the 16-night Hobart to Hobart circumnavigation is going to be a fantastic experience. If you don't have the time to do the full circ, then our 10-night coastal trekking and 10-night coastal wild itineraries are, you know, absolutely stunning. We've been perfecting these and honing these and perfecting these for years now to deliver that absolute classic, you know, Tasmanian true expedition style of expedition cruising. This is just a relatively brief overview of the destination. If you've got any questions at all, guys, please reach out to our, you know, reservation and service team at the Explorer email address. You can call them on the 1-800 number, and of course, please reach out to your, you know, chosen travel agent as required, and we're more than happy to answer any questions you may have. The website, my final point, we have an absolutely massive range of information direct off the website for you guys. I don't have time to delve into too much detail about the ships and the specific day-to-day itineraries, otherwise I'd be here with you for too long. So jump online. We have full detailed day-by-day itineraries, images, videos, ship layouts, you name it, everything you need to make an educated decision about hopefully which Coral Expedition trip you're going to jump aboard. A massive thank you to you again, David. Thank you. You've helped us out a few times with these, so I really appreciate it, mate.
Pleasure. I would just add, I'd be excited to share Tasmania with anyone that comes along. So I'm looking forward to that.
And like I say, with you in combination with your wife Dale, David, you know, you're the absolutely kind of perfect kind of combination for our clients down in Tassie. So keep up the great work. Thank you to all of you guys again for joining us today. You'll get a recorded copy of this webinar so you can use as required. And please reach out to us if you have any questions, and more than happily we'll see what we can do to answer them. Thank you guys, and thank you, David.
Thank you. See you, Will.